There was a river in our village full of fish, but nobody in the village ever fished there. They'd rather bike an hour to the next village. Anything but get near that river. I once asked my dad why. He froze for a second. Then he forced out this weird explanation. The fish in that river don't bite. Years later, I understood. When he said they didn't bite, he didn't mean they hated the bait. He meant whatever was in that river. Maybe liked eating something else. I thought it was strange as a kid. The water wasn't exactly clear, but there were tons of fish. In summer, when the water was low, I could see them from shore. But you couldn't find one fishing rod on that whole bank. Our neighbor, Uncle Lee, lived for fishing. He had 7 or 8 rods at home. But every time he went fishing, he'd rather bike an hour to a reservoir 10 miles away. I couldn't help asking him why. Uncle Lee, why don't you fish in the river by our place? The knife in his hand paused for just a split second. If I hadn't been watching, I would have missed it. Then he kept scraping scales. Fish in that river don't bite. Same answer again. My dad had said the exact same thing before. But how can fish not bite? At most, you used the wrong bait or picked a bad day. Back then, I really didn't get it. Later, one summer break, I came home from school. Uncle Lee happened to be visiting. He was holding a 3 or 4 pound fish. The carp was bright red all over. Its scales shined under the yard light. He waved and handed the fish to my mom. Then he turned to leave. He said if he got to the reservoir late, the spot would go cold. Your Uncle Lee is still a lifelong bachelor, my mom muttered while cleaning the fish in the kitchen. Men his age already have grandkids in elementary school. I didn't answer. I was thinking about how he looked handing over the fish. He was in his 40s. His skin should have looked loose, but I had been so close to him. His face was as smooth as a man in his early 30s. He didn't even have forehead lines. I had no idea how Uncle Lee kept himself looking like that. I stood by the kitchen door and watched my mom cut into it. The fish was hard. When the blade went in, it sounded like cutting frozen meat. The blood that seeped out was very dark, almost black. My mom frowned, but she didn't say anything. She wiped it away with a rag. I didn't think much of it. But looking back now, that blood looked exactly like something I saw later. That night I had a dream. I was standing by the river at the village entrance. The water was green. Fish floated on the surface, belly up, one after another. They stretched from the bank as far as I could see. I tried to take a step forward. My foot stepped on something. It was soft, springy, and warm. I looked down. It was that big red carp. Its mouth was moving, opening and closing again and again. It made a tiny wet sound. It didn't look like a fish gasping. It looked like a person trying to talk, trying desperately but unable to make a sound. I crouched down. The fish's eyes suddenly opened. Then I jolted awake. I checked my phone. It was already past 11 a.m. My mom stood at the living room door. She already had her raincoat on. The drain's clogged again. I'm going to clear it. I'll go. In just those few seconds, the water in the yard had already covered my soles. Our yard was lower than the alley. Whenever it rained hard, the alley water poured into our yard. But there was a drain halfway down the alley. It was near the old locust tree. If it wasn't clogged, the water wouldn't get this high. By the time I got there, the water was past my ankles. I crouched down. One hand held the umbrella. The other reached into the water. Then I suddenly felt something brush against my hand. Soft, slimy, slightly warm, like bloated meat. I yanked my hand back. My heart was pounding. I kept telling myself, it had to be a toad, a bloated toad. But when I reached down again, this time I was sure it was not a toad, because the surface was bumpy. It had countless tiny raised bumps, but it was too slick to grab. When it slipped away, part of it scraped past me. It had a rough, grainy feel. It left a fine, stinging pain across my palm. Luckily, I finally found the drain. After I cleared out the mud and trash clogging it, the water started moving. A whirlpool formed over the drain, and the water level slowly dropped. Then I went home. When I got back, my mom had made ginger soup. I told her what happened. She said nothing, but there was obvious panic in her eyes. She grabbed my hand. She turned it over and over. I could feel how cold her fingers were. Colder than mine. Mom, what was that thing? A toad. What kind of toad has... Then it was a toad. She cut me off. Her voice wasn't loud, but I could hear a slight tremble in it. She dug a small black glass bottle out of the cabinet. She unscrewed it. Inside was a lump of ointment. Without a word, she rubbed it on my palm. Then she clasped my hand in both of hers and scrubbed hard. Uncle Lee gave it to me, she said after, for your habit of touching everything. I smelled my palm. It reeked of fish. Mixed with herbs, it was disgusting. Later, after my shower, I found a cut on the webbing of my right hand. It ran from the base of my thumb to my index knuckle. A long cut, not too deep, not too shallow, but strangely it didn't hurt at all. And it had already scabbed over. I couldn't remember when I got it, so I put some ointment on it and left it alone. That night I slept heavily. Like someone poured lead into my head. I woke up once, but I couldn't open my eyes. My body felt pinned down by something, heavy from head to toe, like water pressure squeezing me from every side. When I woke again, it was 6 the next evening. I wondered why my mom hadn't woken me up. When I got to the living room, my mom called from the kitchen that the fish stew was ready. She told me to come eat. That's when I noticed the smell of fish stew near the table. But it didn't smell good. It smelled fishy. The soup was milky white and thick. Cubes of tofu floated up and down in it. I stirred it with a ladle. Strangely, there wasn't a single piece of fish in the pot. Where's the fish? My mom didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on my hand. More exactly, on the cut between my right thumb and index finger. Then she suddenly grabbed my hand. It happened so fast I couldn't react. One hand rubbed my thumb. The other gripped my other 4 fingers. What happened to your hand? It was there yesterday. I tried to pull away but couldn't. Something in the drain scratched me. It's just a little scrape. Look at your hand. Only then did I notice fine scales seemed to be growing around the cut, like the scales on a fish's skin. I thought I was seeing things, so I blinked hard and looked again. They were still there. My mom was so panicked she couldn't speak straight. She stopped explaining and dragged me outside. Neither of us took an umbrella. We were soaked in just a few steps. She pulled me through the alley. She said we had to find Uncle Lee. His house wasn't far, left at the end of the alley. 3rd house down. At the door, my mom started pounding like crazy. She pounded and shouted, "Old Lee! Old Lee!" But the door never opened. That's when I noticed that aside from the rain and my mom pounding, there wasn't a single sound. Every door and window was shut tight. Every curtain was sealed shut, like there was something terrifying outside. Finally, my mom couldn't pound anymore and slid down the door. She sat in a puddle and cried. I don't know how long she cried before the door finally opened. Uncle Lee stood there. He didn't look at my mom. He walked straight to me. He grabbed my right hand and pulled it up. "Didn't put the ointment on?" We did. My mom climbed up from the ground, saying it again and again. "Where's the fish?" I stewed it, then it vanished. Uncle Lee frowned hard, a deep crease between his brows.